How can it be okay that some schools are a pipeline to prison while others are a pipeline to college? As you know, these two institutions paint two very different pictures. One that's bright and full of hope, and the second that's dark and oftentimes thought of as a dead end. Today, we will look at the harsh reality that many students in America are facing. As a teacher with a variety of teaching experiences in different schools and environments, I have seen firsthand how the different approaches to education and discipline can change the trajectory of a student's future. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to be talking about the term school to prison pipeline, the statistics involving that system, the root cause, and hopefully some ways that we as a team can make a difference. First, let's define what that means. Christopher Malott in the School to Prison Pipeline Comprehensive Assessment published in 2016 says this: the pipeline is best described or understood as a set of policies or practices in a school that make it more likely for students to face criminal involvement in the juvenile courts than to attain quality education. How many students are affected by this school to prison pipeline? In 1993, 1.5 million students were either suspended and or expelled. That number doubled within the next 4 years, coming to a whopping 3.1 million students. Of those students either expelled or suspended between 6th and 12th grade, 43% were Black, 22 Hispanic, 16 white, and 3/4 of those students were males. We also see elevated numbers within our LGBT communities, as well as students that have mental and physical disabilities. All of these statistics are found in the School to Prison Pipeline, a primer for social workers by Susan McCarter, published in 2017. How did it get to this point? Let's look at the root causes and for these changes. Many schools, after all of the shootings and violence that began to be surfaced in the 1990s and 2000s, began to implement a variety of policies like the zero tolerance policy, which has no wiggle room for students. They also began to hire law enforcement officers or school protection officers. Those officers are trained in law enforcement agencies and do not have backgrounds in adolescent and childhood development. Therefore, quite often, their punishments are much harsher. In a TED Talk by Alice Goffman, she talks about, she says this statement: young students on this journey are meeting with probation officers instead of teachers. They're going to court dates instead of class. Their junior year abroad is instead a trip to the state correctional facility. That TED Talk, if you're interested, is called How We're Priming Some Kids for Colleges and Others for Prison. It was published in 2015. Next, in the article called School to Prison Pipeline in the New York Times, written in 2013, it says, however, by criminalizing routine disciplinary problems, we have damaged many lives of children and making them more likely to drop out of school and entangling them sometimes permanently into the criminal justice system. As a part of this, I want you to think, what are ways that we as teachers, school members, parents, communities can make a difference? In Busting the School to Prison Pipeline, written by Jason Lindberg and Angela Calafi in 2017, they share 10 ways that teachers and schools can make a difference. I'm going to share with you a few of those that I think everybody can do. First, adopt social emotional lenses. Develop trusting, supporting relationships and a sense of community with students and their families. Establish clear, simple, fair, and high behavioral expectations. And last but not least, get involved with the systematic change. Next, as I talked about, some schools are feeding students into prison instead of feeding their minds for a brighter tomorrow. I hope this message has struck a chord in your heart, and that you will look for ways that you can get involved to help. Today I talked about what it is, what the school to prison pipeline is, whom it affects, the causes, and how a change can happen. So now, don't just sit there. Get up. Go out and make a difference, because if you don't, who will?